Yo guys, what is up? Craig Da Vinci here, fine art major and gamer, and today I'm doing my first ever tier list video. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be ranking all of the Dark Souls 3 bosses in terms of their difficulty, in terms of how fucking pissed off they got me, in terms of me questioning if I could even beat them. That's what we're doing. This is the 2023 Dark Souls 3 difficulty boss tier list. And I recently beat Dark Souls 3 again a month and a half ago. I put almost 200 hours on it on PC. So yeah, all of these boss fights are fairly fresh in my mind, and I fought all of these bosses for the most part. So yeah, I'm going to be giving my take. So let's get started. So right off the bat, we're going to start off with Gundyr. Where are you, Gundyr? Not Champion Gundyr, because Champion Gundyr was way more difficult than Gundyr, okay? Oh, here's the regular Gundyr, okay. So the regular Gundyr, when I first played Dark Souls 3, he was difficult, but he's the type of boss where you really gotta memorize his moveset. He's not too hard because his moves are pretty telegraphed, so you can prepare for the stuff that he's gonna throw at you. I really didn't find him to be that hard at all. He's pretty easy. He's one of the more easier bosses in the game. His second form, he turns into this giant big chunk of poop. Like he literally, his second form, I'm sorry, but it literally looks like one of his arms turned into this giant piece of dung. Like, it's like a giant shit monster or something. But his design is still cool though, I'm not gonna lie. And when I first played Dark Souls 3, when you take the sword out of him, like, that caught me off guard. I don't know why I did not see that coming. Like, dude, the sword is moving. It has these weird squirmy things moving on it. This clearly is indicating a boss battle. You know what I mean? Like, the whole pulling the sword out of him, like, clearly a boss battle was being foreshadowed, but I don't know. It just didn't hit me. So yeah, I think Gundyr, the first Gundyr, not Champion Gundyr, because Champion Gundyr is the first Gundyr on fucking steroids. So I think the first Gundyr, I would give him, I would say he's about a 3 out of 10. I would say he's about a 3 out of 10. Actually, 2 out of 10. I would say he's a 2 out of 10. He's not that hard. His moves are fairly telegraphed. And, you know, because they're fairly telegraphed, you're able to dodge them in time. You're able to prepare for them in time. So I really don't see him being that much of a challenge when it comes to veterans at all. But if you're new to the game, you know, he can be challenging because, you know, you don't know his moveset yet, you know. And but I mean, that goes for every boss in every Souls game, right? It's all about learning their movesets. It's all about learning their movesets and being prepared for when their moves are about to occur. So yeah, the first Gundyr at the beginning of the game, he's not hard at all. He's pretty pathetic. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, watch out for those attacks. And if you die enough to him, if you're new to the game, like, you're gonna memorize all of his attacks, and his entire battle is gonna be second nature to you. Like, memorize his attacks. Also, if I recall correctly, at the beginning of the game, you get fire bombs from one of the fallen enemies. You chuck fire bombs at his second form, yo, his health bar will deplete quickly. So he's very, very, very vulnerable to fire. So fire bombs basically destroy him fairly quickly. So the dude's not hard at all. So 2 out of 10 for sure. Now we're gonna move to Champion Gundyr, right? I mean, it makes sense. We just talked about the first Gundyr, so now we're gonna talk about Champion Gundyr. Champion Gundyr is Gundyr on steroids, okay? Champion Gundyr is definitely significantly more of a challenge than the first Gundyr. He is more quicker. His moves, if I recall correctly, aren't as telegraphed. And I feel like his moves also do way more damage. He's just more threatening. I mean, if you look at his design, the dude even has glowing red eyes. Like, you fucked me up last time, good luck this time. You know what I'm saying? Like, the guy, his overall demeanor, the glowing red eyes, like, it looks like Gundyr. This Gundyr means fucking business. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not playing no fucking games. So Champion Gundyr, I would say, I would give him, we're gonna put him at like 4 out of 10. I would say Champion Gundyr is about, he's in that 4 out of 10 range. 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10, like in the middle. Once again, he's not too difficult. He's not extremely difficult. But if you are really good at dodging, if you have a really good reaction time, I don't see him being that difficult. He's significantly stronger, if I recall correctly, compared to the first version of Gundyr at the beginning of the game. He's quicker. And also, I think his attacks are more varied than the first Gundyr. The first Gundyr is pretty predictable when it comes to his attack patterns. So I'm going to say Champion Gundyr is about a 4 out of 10. He's still not difficult. He's still not crazy. You know, he looks badass. I love his armor set. Unfortunately, when you wear his armor set, you don't look as badass as he does when he's wearing his armor set. You know, and that is unfortunately, that's common in the Souls games. Some of the armor set that you get from some of the bosses look badass on the bosses, but when you wear it, you know, it looks terrible. It just doesn't look good. It looks like how our mom dressed us when we were going to like 3rd grade or 4th grade. Like, it just looked bad. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Anywho, also, if I recall correctly, I think Champion Gundyr is like the fucking hell with the poop, with the big dung arm. He's like, fuck that shit. I don't need that shit no more. He just got his whole bird and he's ready to go to work with you. You know what I'm saying? He said, fuck the whole big poop arm attachment. I don't need it. You know what I mean? So yeah. So Champion Gundyr is really not that difficult. He's a step up in challenge from the first Gundyr, but he's not too difficult. Yorm the Giant. So Yorm, you know, it's so sad, right? Because I wish his boss battle was way more difficult. His boss battle is very similar to the giant stingray that you fight in Demon Souls. The name of that boss is escaping me. And his boss battle is also very similar to Rykard from Elden Ring, where essentially you pick up a weapon in the same boss room, and that same weapon is essentially the key to defeating the boss very easily, you know? So I'm not a fan of that boss design where you're about to fight this boss and he looks so badass and he's so huge. His design is sick. You know, the boss battle music sounds amazing. Like, everything, you're just getting the vibe that, like, yo, this is about to be some real ass shit. You know what I mean? Like, this boss battle is about to be fucking sick. It's about to be amazing. This is going to be like the battle of the ages. And then you find out that, oh, this sword that's sticking out of the ground is what I need to defeat him, and it's going to defeat him in like 6 to 10 hits. You know, and it's just disappointing. I'm just not a fan of boss battle designs where the weapon to defeat said enemy is in the same boss room, and you pick it up and you you eliminate the boss very easily. I just feel like that takes the fun out of the boss battle. I would like to fight the boss head on without any aids, like a weapon in the room that is made to defeat this specific boss, you know? So I'm not a fan of that design, but Yorm is amazing. I think his overall design is badass. I love how huge he is. He has this absolutely massive machete that is just threatening. Yeah, I love Yorm. I think as a boss, aesthetically, he's fucking awesome. But this video is all about difficulty, so I'm gonna have to put him, honestly, I'm gonna put him at 1 out of 10. I mean, if you know that if you know the weapon in the room is essentially the key to defeat him, you're not gonna have any difficulty fighting Yorm, you know? So yeah, Yorm is cheese, as as it says right here. So yeah, he's not hard, he's not difficult. It's a shame because I would have liked his boss battle to I wish his boss battle was more epic, more difficult, more threatening, but it's not. So yeah, Yorm is just very easy. As long as you know the weapon in the room is the key to beating him, you're gonna beat him with immense ease, honestly. High Lord Wolnir, where are you? Here you are. High Lord Wolnir is not hard at all. He's kind of similar to Yorm, where aesthetically he looks so badass. He's this giant skeleton king like boss, and yeah, he just looks badass, but his actual boss fight is very easy. It's not threatening. His moves are very telegraphed. He's pretty slow. And as long as you focus on his gigantic rings on his skeleton hands and you break them, you're gonna fuck up that health bar. You're gonna fuck it up real quick. So High Lord Wolnir, he's like a 1 out of 10. He's cheese. He's cheese. You know what I'm saying? Like, focus on the rings on his finger. Make sure to break them. Dodge his attacks on time. Avoid that fog that he surrounds himself with, because that will fuck your health up. So he's slightly more threatening than Yorm is because of that fog attack. Like, it's kind of like a cursed mist that surrounds him, and if you get too close to it, it will eat your health bar like fucking nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it will devastate your health bar. So he's slightly more threatening than Yorm. So I guess, yeah. So he's a little bit more difficult than Yorm, so I will put him in front of Yorm. A shame, once again, because I would have liked his boss battle to be more difficult, but not every boss battle in every Souls game is going to be, the Nameless King difficulty. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not gonna be like that. But Wolnir is badass. I love the way he looks, and honestly, I would love if we got more giant skeleton-like bosses in the future. Yeah, for upcoming From Software titles, if they choose to go back into the medieval realm. Speaking of the Nameless King, though, this motherfucker is so hard, bro. So fucking hard. He is so fucking hard. Pause. Okay, this dude is tough. So as you guys know, I beat Dark Souls 3 recently again on PC. I put almost 200 hours into it. And so I did a rerun on PC. When I first got Dark Souls 3, when it initially came out in 2016, I had it for Xbox One. Back then, I did not beat the Nameless King. I couldn't. He was way too fucking hard. No matter how hard I tried, he would fuck me up. I would get through his first phase with the dragon, but once we defeated his dragon, I was fucked. That was it. I lost the battle. There was no hope for me. But with this new PC run years later, and now that, I'm smarter, your boy is not as fucking dumb as he was. I upgraded my character better. All that jazz. And I beat him. I actually beat him. And it's crazy. When I beat the Nameless King this year, it felt like, wow, man. Like, it felt like I gave my younger self, like, a high five. You know what I mean? Like, I did it for him. I did it for my younger self. Like, the Nameless King fucked up the younger Craig. Time and time again. But the 2023 Craig, yo, I was not fucking around. I gave that man the hands, bro. You know what I mean? Now listen, he was still fucking difficult. But I don't know, maybe I'm also just more persistent now. Like, I'm just like, nah, I have to. So yeah, Craig back then struggled with the Nameless King so much. His second form, the guy is so fast. His moves, he does not really telegraph his moves. Like, I think that is what makes him very difficult. Like, in the spur of the moment, he can just do a move real quick and you won't even fucking see it coming. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, he also changes his move set midway into the battle, and that's when he really utilizes those lightning attacks that just fuck you up. You know, so yeah, the Nameless King is fucking difficult. Honestly, dude is like, oh my god. We're gonna leave him at 9 out of 10. We're gonna put him at 9 out of 10. The Nameless King will fuck you up, bro. He ain't nothing to mess with. He ain't nothing to play with. The Nameless King is very difficult. I mean, even right now, even though I beat him, if I fought him again, I think I obviously will fare better than I did last time and better younger Craig in 2016. But I still think I would have difficulty with him. I think the Nameless King is a boss that aged beautifully in terms of difficulty. He's kind of timeless when it comes to difficulty. Of course, you know, if your character is fucking OP, you know, and if you know what weapons, if you utilize weapons and spells that he's weak against, of course, you know, you're probably going to breeze through him like any boss. But I don't know, there's just something about this boss that I find to be difficult no matter what. And I think it's because of his quickness. I think it's because of his fluidity. I think it's because of his attacks not being so telegraphed like, say, Gundyr or High Lord Wolnir. The guy is, and then on top of that, his dragon form is also pretty threatening as well. His dragon form is, you know, his first form is way easier than his second form, but it's still 2 boss battles in one. Whereas all of these other bosses, it's just 1 boss battle. They only have, like, all of these bosses, you know what I mean? Like, they just have 1 health bar. This guy has 2 health bars. His dragon, and then the Nameless King himself. And I think that also makes him more difficult than these other bosses as well. I think any boss that has 2 stages, 2 health bars, or 3 health bars, they're automatically going to be more fucking difficult, you know? Because the duration of the boss battle is now longer. You got to be more wiser when you use your Estus Flask. And since the boss battle is longer, most likely you're going to be using more Estus Flasks. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot to consider when a boss has multiple health gauges. So Nameless King, 9 out of 10, very hard, very difficult, but a badass boss. He is one of the most memorable bosses in all of the Soul series. He is badass. The dude comes, I mean, his entrance, the way he enters the boss arena is so badass. My guy pulled up on this majestic looking dragon ready to fuck you up. Like, he just pulled up to the scene ready to knock your teeth out, you know what I'm saying? So Nameless King is very difficult. 9 out of 10, very memorable boss, very legendary boss. Yeah, and I think a lot of people will agree with that assessment, that he is by far one of the hardest bosses in all of the Souls games, and obviously in Dark Souls 3. Also, the boss arena, like, you're literally fighting him in the middle of the sky. How badass is that, right? Like, we don't put enough emphasis on boss arenas, right? We always put emphasis on the boss itself, but the boss arena greatly contributes to the memorability of a boss battle. And you're fighting this dude in the middle of the sky, man, in the middle of a thunderous storm. If that's not badass to you, I don't know what fucking is, man. It's so sick. It's so sick. Midir. I love Midir. Midir is so memorable. Honestly, he is my favorite boss in all of Dark Souls 3. And I already know who's my second favorite, and you guys will find that out in a bit. But Midir is my first favorite boss in Dark Souls 3. He's my number one favorite boss. I think his design is badass. He's a sexy looking dragon. He has different types of fire breath. He has his regular fire breath, and then he has this dark energy beam that he just devastates you with. He is just so badass. Like Nameless King, his boss arena is also fucking dope. It's very dope. You essentially fall all the way down into this dark, menacing, ominous cave, and you see on the surface, on the ground of the cave, you see all of the corpses, all of the dead knights, thieves, minions, whatever. You see all of the individuals that tried to defeat this dragon and ultimately got fucking murked. His boss arena is theatrical. It's ominous. It's dark. And just badass. You see nothing but corpses laid out all around you, foreshadowing that this dragon is nothing to fuck with. Midir is amazing. I love him. Number one favorite boss battle in the game. And I'm going to have to put Midir at I'm going to have to put Midir right behind Nameless King. I'm going to have to put Midir right next to Nameless King. Because Midir, my difficulty with Midir was more so a level up issue. I don't think when I first initially fought him, I don't think my stats were in the right place. And I wasn't wearing the right armor. I think, and I know armor doesn't matter that much in Dark Souls 3, but it does in certain circumstances. I know the whole poise thing is very different in Dark Souls 3 compared to the other Soul games. But anywho, Midir, when I first initially fought Midir, it was more of a me issue. It was more so my character stats weren't in the right place, like I said, my armor, all that shit. But then once I got that in order, he was still difficult, but he wasn't as difficult. You know what I mean? And I think you can say that for almost every Soul boss, right? Like, sometimes when we first initially fight them, it's not that we suck, but maybe the armor that we're wearing sucks. Maybe we're using a weapon that the boss is resistant to. Maybe our stats are not high enough. You know, there are a lot of things to take account of when fighting a boss initially. Like, sometimes it's not that you suck. Sometimes it's just your character or the weapon that you're using is just not up to par to fight that boss yet. So I think that is where a lot of my difficulty came from when I first initially fought Midir. But I still think Midir alone, like even disregarding all of that, I think Midir is still a solid, difficult boss. He is very, very, very fast. Very fast, very erratic. He's very fast. He's very neurotic. The move where he just goes batshit crazy and starts thrashing his claws around and he just speeds through the arena. That move is devastating. As well as the move where he shoots his fire breath and then that dark energy beam. That move is devastating, and if that dark energy beam hits you, it will eat through your health gauge like nothing. Midir is definitely pretty tough. His moves are they're pretty telegraphed. Like, you can see when a move is coming. You can prepare yourself. So it's not like Nameless King where his moves. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put Midir at 8 out of 10. I'm gonna put him at 8 out of 10. I think he's difficult, but his moves are pretty telegraphed. You can see them coming from not a mile away, but you can see them coming. There's enough time for you to actually prepare yourself for what he's about to throw at you. Yeah, so I just don't think he's as difficult as the Nameless King. But he's pretty difficult. And I know a lot of people have said he's one of, if not the hardest dragon boss in the Soul series. Some people would argue that Kalameet is way harder than he is. So, yeah. You know, I think Midir, I think if your stats are good, I think if you use the right weapons, and I think if you memorize his moveset, I think he will be, you won't breeze through him, definitely won't breeze through him, but you will be able to have a pretty decent chance at defeating him. Also, you have to be patient with Midir. This boss battle is all about patience. If you think you're going to beat Midir 1, 2, 3, you're fucking mistaken. And he will show you why you're mistaken. That was also my mistake when fighting Midir. Initially, when I first fought Midir, you know, I was over my head. I thought my stats were amazing. I had this powerful lightning weapon. I believe I was using the Great Lordran sword. I'm probably not saying the title of that sword correctly, but it's one of my favorite swords in the game. You know, it's the sword that the Lordran Knights used. It's two-handed when they use it. But anywho, when I first initially fought Midir, I came into that boss arena with the mindset of I'm gonna fuck him up quick and easy and get the fuck out of here. And yeah, I was sadly mistaken. This boss battle is all about patience. You have to be patient. If you think you're gonna run in and beat Midir quickly, it's not gonna happen. Some bosses, that can happen. But with Midir, that's not gonna happen. You will defeat Midir when he decides you can defeat him. You know what I mean? So you have to be very, very patient when you're fighting Midir. He is not an easy feat. I think he is difficult, but I don't think he is as difficult as the Nameless King. So yeah. As a boss as a whole, I think he is a phenomenal boss. Like, in terms of just memorability, I give him a 10 out of 10. I give him a 10 out of 10. I think aesthetically, he's a fucking sexy looking dragon. His design is gorgeous. It's badass. He just looks like a dragon that came from space. Like he came from a black hole, you know, or something like that. You know, I just love his color palette. I love the way he was designed. I'm just repeating myself at this point, but, and then his boss arena, dude, his boss arena is just so badass. You know, so yeah. And his music, his boss battle music is also very memorable. So Midir, in terms of memorability, in terms of an overall boss battle, to me, 10 out of 10. He's my favorite boss in the game. I love fighting him. But in terms of difficulty, I have to be fair and I have to say he's an 8 out of 10. I really don't think he is as difficult as people say he is. I just think you have to be patient. You have to be wearing the right armor that is resistant towards fire. Watch out for that dark cosmic beam that he shoots, because that will eat your fucking health. And avoid that crazy neurotic thrash attack that he does when he just goes batshit crazy, and you will be fine. The Curse-Rotted Greatwood. This is one of my least favorite bosses in the game. This boss I always dreaded, and I still dread fighting this boss. I hate this boss. This boss is just trash. And the only reason why you have to defeat this boss is because when you defeat this boss, you gain access to the item that allows you to create boss weapons, right? If I recall correctly. So that's the only incentive that a player has. That's the only incentive that a player will have to defeat this boss, is to attain that item that creates boss weapons. Other than that, there's no reason to fight this boss. I mean, I guess if you want some decent souls, go for it. But the his name is so long. The Curse-Rotted Greatwood. Yeah, the Curse-Rotted Greatwood, I just think he's definitely not memorable. Actually, no, he's memorable, but for all the wrong reasons. Like, his boss battle is pretty comical. He has a move where he essentially rolls all over you And then he has this like butt slam that he does, and the arena caves in and you fall underground into a new arena. So his boss battle is comical. It's memorable because it's comical. It's not memorable because it's badass like Midir or Nameless King, you know. And he's pretty annoying. He's pretty irritating. You have to find different weak spots on his body to. So essentially, you're popping zits on this dude. He's basically a giant fucking acne monster, and you have to pop zits all over his body to defeat him. Each zit you pop, he loses a significant amount of health. His boss battle is essentially Pimple Popper 101. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. In terms of difficulty though, because this is what this video is about. Sorry, I get off track a lot. But in terms of difficulty, I would give him a 3 out of 10. I think he's slightly harder than Gundyr because some of his attacks they can really take out a great number of health off of you. I just find him so annoying, man. He's just so annoying. His design is pretty cool, I guess. I mean, it's pretty cool, but like, in terms of the boss battle itself, it sucks ass. I dread fighting this boss, man. I really do. I think he's fucking whack. I don't like the cursed... What the fuck is his name again? Curse-Rotted Greatwood. Even his name is just so elongated. The Cursed Rotted Greatwood. Like, Jesus Christ. But anywho, I would give him a 3 out of 10. He's not that difficult. Yeah, so he's a 3 out of 10. He's not that difficult. He's just annoying. He's annoying, you know. And I think if you use fire on him, it will deplete. You know, it's kind of similar to Gundyr, the first version. I think he is vulnerable to fire, if I recall correctly. So if you use like a fire weapon, or if you have some fire bombs, I really don't think he'll be that much of a threat. So I give him like a 3 out of 10. He's not that hard. He's slightly harder than Gundyr because some of his moves can basically one-shot you. If not one-shot you, take out a significant amount of health. And yeah, so I would give him a 3 out of 10. Just very fucking annoying, and the boss battle is really not that fun, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Definitely not a fun boss battle. One of the worst boss battles in the game. But it's memorable for comical reasons because he uses that giant fucking butt slam attack and you pop his pimples to kill him. You pop pimples to kill him. Dragon Slayer Armor. I love this boss battle. I think this boss battle is, I would put it, in terms of aesthetics and memorability, I would put it in the high ranks of the Nameless King and Midir. Dragon Slayer Armor, I think he is just badass. I love his armor, pun intended. I love his armor set. I love his giant shield and his giant, I can't recall, is it a halberd? No, it's like a giant axe or a hammer. But yeah, I love his moves. I love how he uses lightning. I have a weak spot for lightning. I don't know, just something about lightning weapons to me they're fucking orgasmic. You know what I'm saying? Like I just love lightning weapons. Anything lightning, it appeals to me. You know, lightning Pokemon types, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, come on. Voltron all day, baby. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, in terms of difficulty, I would give him a 6 out of 10. I would say Dragon Slayer Armor is slightly above average. He's definitely not an easy boss, but he's not a hard boss. He's not like very, very difficult either. You know, I would say he's about average. I mean, I had issues with him with this new rerun that I did. This new PC rerun that I did. I thought he was quite difficult, but not too difficult. Like I said, he's moderately difficult. His moves are fairly telegraphed. They're pretty telegraphed. So you can see his moves coming. But he does do a lot of damage. Also, he has this weird dragon mosquito thing in the sky that assists him with fighting you, and that thing can be kind of annoying. Also, his boss arena, it's like you essentially fight him on this bridge, and there's this giant fountain in the middle, or some type of fountain-like structure in the middle, and he can easily I mean, I can't tell you how many times I died to this dude because I fucking fell off the bridge. So be careful when it comes to dodging and rolling this dude. I think his boss arena contributes to his difficulty because I think I died more from falling off the bridge than dying from him and his actual moveset. So I would give him a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10. He's not too difficult. He's moderately difficult. His attacks are pretty, they're pretty telegraphed. You can see when they're coming. His boss arena contributes to his overall difficulty. It's fairly easy to fall off the bridge, at least for me. I fell off the bridge. He has this weird mosquito thing that assists him in battle. That makes him a little more difficult. And his moves are pretty fucking powerful. If any of his moves connect, he does lightning damage. I mean, he does moderately good damage against you, and it will eat away at your health gauge. So I would say he's a 6 out of 10. He's not too hard, but he's not too easy. But his boss battle alone, I would give it a good 8.5 out of 10. I think he's a memorable boss. Aesthetically, I think he looks badass. And yeah, And I love his shield. I like using his shield when you're able to get it. Oh, and I love his giant axe, his thunder axe. It's pretty fun to use in PvE. The special attack, I believe, it summons like a lightning bolt. It's fucking satisfying. I'm not gonna lie. It does a lot of damage. So yeah. Aldrich, the Devourer of Gods. Yeah, he was fucking annoying. I'm gonna be fucking honest, man. That honing arrow attack that he does, oh my god, it killed me so many times because those arrows follow you and they follow you while he throws additional attacks at you. So yeah, I mean that attack alone makes him fucking difficult. I would say he's a 7 out of 10. Aldrich he's a 7 out of 10. That honing arrow attack is very annoying. You have to dodge and run like crazy. That eats away at your stamina bar. And then on top of that, he is just shooting fire attacks at you. Yeah, his moveset is very annoying. And yeah, I would give him about a 7 out of 10. He's not impossible to beat, but he's not easy either. So I would say he is about, I would say he's slightly harder than Dragon Slayer armor. Now, in terms of the boss itself, I don't care for this boss. I mean, this boss battle takes place in the same boss room as Ornstein and Smough. So I automatically compare Ornstein and Smough to Aldrich, and come on, man. Ornstein and Smough are way more badass than Aldrich. Like, fighting Ornstein and Smough is more badass than fighting Aldrich. Ornstein and Smough were more memorable. They were more difficult, in my opinion. And they were more iconic. So I think Aldrich is kind of lacking in terms of just a boss battle in general. I just don't find his design to be that enticing. I don't find his... And also the boss arena, the Ornstein and Smough room, it looks more ancient. It looks more corroded. So the boss room doesn't look as badass as it did when Honor Londo was in its prime. So yeah. Aldrich, 7 out of 10. He's an okay boss. I just hate that fucking honing arrow attack. It's annoying as fuck. I hated it. Crystal Sage, 1 out of 10. This boss is a joke. It's honestly whack-a-mole in a boss battle. That's basically what this boss battle is. She disappears, she reappears, she summons some clones. Yeah, it's a very boring boss battle. Nothing crazy. Definitely not difficult. I mean, I really don't have much to say about this boss. Just very easy. Cheese. It's simply cheese. I don't know. I really don't know what else to say. She's not memorable. Her design is pretty generic. She's just a generic looking witch, mage-like character. Yeah. 1 out of 10. Very easy. Locate the real witch. do a lot of damage. Done. Cathedral of the Deep, 1 out of 10. Cathedral of the Deep, honestly, I wish there was a 0 out of 10 tier. Because if there was a 0 out of 10 tier, I would put Cathedral of the Deep and the mage, the Crystal Mage, I would put them in 0 out of 10. Because not only are they easy as fuck, they suck. They suck. I don't find their boss battles to be enticing, memorable, or anything. I think Cathedral of the Deep is way memorable than Crystal Mage because Cathedral of the Deep has that gigantic cube in the middle. And there's a lot of, clerics or holy people, whatever you want to call them. So, I guess it's more memorable than the Crystal Mage. But yeah, Cathedral of the Deep is basically just a slightly more interesting Crystal Mage in terms of aesthetics and memorability. In terms of difficulty, 1 out of 10. Very easy. I mean, it's basically just a crowded mob of enemies, and you have to find the one that is vulnerable to your attacks, and you defeat the boss. Very easy, nothing crazy. 1 out of 10. Cheese! Abyss Watchers. The Abyss Watchers, I would say they are a 4 out of 10. I would put them in the same bracket as Champion Gundyr. The Abyss Watchers, I think they are really cool aesthetically. I like the armor set that you get from them. I think it's you see, the first form it's cheese, honestly, because there are multiple Abyss Watchers that come to your aid, but not really, and they contribute to killing each other. So, it's pretty easy. So you don't really have to do much. But the second form, I would say, is, it's a little difficult. It's a little hard. Nothing too crazy. I mean, the attacks are pretty telegraphed. The second form of the Abyss Watcher, he gets that giant flame sword. And it can, and he's pretty fast. I'm not going to lie. His moveset is pretty slick and fluid. So that can cause some challenge. That can cause some challenge to the player. So, I would say overall he is not too difficult. But he has some things up his sleeve that can make him a little tough, right? His moveset is pretty quick. He's pretty fluid. His fire attacks can be pretty devastating. So yeah, but once again, even though he's quick, his moves are fairly telegraphed, so you can see them coming. So as long as you have a good reaction time, I don't think this boss battle will be that tough. But in terms of a boss battle in general, pretty damn memorable, I'm not gonna lie. Old Demon King. The Old Demon King, I would say he is in the same bracket as Abyss Watchers and Champion Gundyr. The Old Demon King, I don't think he is that tough. His moves are pretty slow. They're not that quick. His moves are very telegraphed. Just like, I would say his moves are more telegraphed, way more telegraphed than Abyss Watchers and Champion Gundyr. So he's more easier in my opinion, he's more easier. Now, if his attacks connect to you, they're going to do fucking damage. I'm not going to lie. I died to him about 2 or 3 times. But that's because my reaction time was off. I didn't dodge in time, whatever. Or sometimes I just get too, what's the word? I get too cocky and or too overambitious, thinking I can land thinking I can land more moves than I should, and then I end up dead. So yeah, the Old Demon King, I don't think he's that difficult. I think that, his moves are pretty telegraphed, so he shouldn't be that hard. In terms of boss battle in general, I think he's pretty cool. I think his boss arena is pretty metal as fuck. So his boss arena is pretty badass. I mean, his boss arena is littered with corpses of Capra demons and Asylum demons, so that's pretty cool. And then in the middle of the arena, there's this giant mountain of corpses of them, so that was really cool to see. So I would say his boss arena is pretty badass, and he's pretty fun to fight. Not too memorable. I think his boss arena is more memorable than he is as a boss. But yeah, 4 out of 10, not that hard. So yeah, Dancer of the Boreal Valley. Oh my god, yeah, I'm gonna have to put this boss at 8 out of 10. The Dancer is tough. She's very weird. Her moveset is very weird. Her moveset is very poetic and theatrical as well. Hence, Dancer of the Boreal Valley, right? So I think they did a phenomenal job with her animation. I think they did a phenomenal job with her animations correlating with a dancer or a ballerina type of boss in terms of her overall moveset. So yeah, I think that she's pretty fucking difficult. She has a spinning attack that is pretty fucking quick, and it tracks you down. I would say she's pretty freaking tough. And then her second stage, I feel like her moves are more threatening and more varied. So I would say the Dancer, I would say she is very tough, very slick, very fluid, very fast. Her moves are kind of, they're kind of telegraphed. You can kind of see them coming, but because her animations are so unique and so original, it fucks with it'll fuck with your reaction time. I mean, it did for me. I don't know, maybe it won't for other people. But she's a one-of-one boss. Very original, very memorable. One of my favorite bosses in the game. I love her boss weapons. They're very enjoyable to use in the game. They're not the best, but they're enjoyable nonetheless when it comes to PvE, to use them in PvE. So, yeah. I would say in terms of a boss overall, I think she's up there with the greats. She's up there with Nameless King and Midir. So yeah, but in terms of difficulty, she is pretty tough, but she's not as tough as Midir, and she's definitely not as tough as the Nameless King. You can definitely beat her. It's definitely feasible to beat her. But because her moveset is so weird, it poses some challenges. And since I'm talking about boss arenas, her boss arena is that giant cathedral. Her boss arena is essentially the entrance into the castle, the Lothric Castle, right? Or it's a castle. The name is escaping me. But anywho, her boss arena is the entrance to that level, and I love it. I love how it's this giant cathedral, and yeah, her boss arena is just gorgeous, very detailed. And there's wooden benches as well in the boss arena, and trust me, you're gonna break all of those fucking benches dodging this boss's attacks. She's fucking ruthless. She can be ruthless. So I would say she's an 8 out of 10 boss. Also, the way she enters the boss arena is like, that horror movie The Ring, like when that little girl comes out of the TV, like. That's what I thought of when she dripped out of the ceiling. Like, that shit was fucking dope. It was very unique. It was like, I don't know, it had this horrific aura to it when she introduced herself to you, the player. It's like, whoa. Osiris, I think is how you pronounce his name. It says, Osiris the Consumed King. So he's really not that hard, honestly. I would say he's like 3 out of 10. He's really not that challenging. His moves are pretty telegraphed. He's quick. He's tough, but he's not that tough. So I would say he's a 3 out of 10. I really don't have much to say about this boss other than he is memorable. I mean, he's one of the few bosses that actually talks to you. Well, maybe not to you, but to himself as the boss battle is going on. And you can't help but feel sad for the guy. I vaguely remember his lore, and it's pretty fucking sad. So, poor guy, Osiris, I don't know. But yeah, my guy was going through it. When you fight him, you'll know what I'm talking about. He calls to this other character, or he says this name. It's escaping me, but his boss battle is kind of sad. His boss battle it really, to me anyway, because he expresses dialogue during the overall boss battle, it gives me Bloodborne vibes. You know what I mean? Because a lot of Bloodborne's bosses, they tend to talk to themselves or talk to the player. Also Sekiro as well. But yeah, overall, I don't know. This boss has a melancholic undertone to it. So you kind of feel sad fighting him. But when you defeat him, beyond his arena is a hidden wall where you can fight Champion Gundyr. So yeah. But yeah, 3 out of 10. Not that hard as a boss. So yeah. Lothric, the younger prince. Now remember when I told you guys I was going to tell you what is my second favorite boss battle in Dark Souls 3, or my second favorite boss period in Dark Souls 3? Yeah, it's Lothric. I love Lothric. I'm going to put Lothric with the Nameless King in terms of difficulty. But he's also up there with all these guys in terms of memorability. Lothric is hard as fuck. He's very hard. I went crazy fighting him. I was cursing at my TV. I mean my monitor. I was cursing. I was pissed off. His moveset is lethal. He has this move where he charges his sword and he hits the ground, and when that freaking wave of light energy or whatever it is hits you, it can fucking one-shot you. And if it doesn't one-shot you, it will get your health to a point where you will be fucking panicking and you will want to down an Estus flask immediately. This guy is no fucking joke. His moveset is lethal. It's ruthless. He ain't playing no fucking games. He may be crippled. He may be disabled, but that don't mean shit, because he'll still give it to you. He'll still give it to you. And then on top of that, in the mid stage of his battle, his other brother, Lorien, comes to assist him. And Lorien essentially rides his back, and Lorien can fucking heal him. And if you beat Lothric, Lorien can bring him back from the dead, and then you have to fight him again. So I would say Lothric and Lorien are Dark Souls 3's Ornstein and Smough, but more difficult. I think Lothric and Lorien are more difficult than Ornstein and Smough. So yeah, he's tough. And also he can teleport, and he can teleport fairly fucking quickly too. So yeah, the thing is, his moves are pretty telegraphed, so you can see them coming. And yeah, also, but in terms of just memorability, I think he's just so awesome. He's badass. His design is gorgeous. I love how he wears this crown, and the crown is so big you can't even see his eyes. So it gives him this mystique to his overall design, and his armor set is just so badass. On top of that, I love the fact that he's disabled. What boss have you ever faced in a game where his legs are not working? But even though his legs aren't working, he's still one hell of a warrior. He's still one hell of a beast to face. I just think it's so awesome. Like, you don't see, typically when we think of disabled people, right? We think of people that are not able to fight, that are not able to defend themselves. But Lothric is the complete opposite of that. And I think that's so badass, like if I don't know. Like, I just think that take of having a disabled warrior be one of the hardest bosses in the game, I just think that's so badass. You know what I mean? And it's just so original, so unique. Just that whole concept of his legs being paralyzed or something of that nature. I really don't know too much. I really don't know the lore like that. But yeah, I think he is a phenomenal boss. His boss arena also is badass. I think you essentially fight him in his bedroom, and his bedroom is like humongous, right? If I recall correctly, there was a bed in his boss room. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I think him and Lorien are amazing. The music when you fight them is amazing, very memorable. So yeah, But he's definitely a 9 out of 10. He's very difficult. His moveset is very varied. It's very versatile. He's quick. He's fluid. Yes, his moves are pretty telegraphed. You can see them coming. But that don't matter because he will still fuck you up. And then he has that power where he stands up on his legs for like a split second and then hits the sword to the ground, like I said before, and it will wipe away your health. And if it doesn't wipe away your health, it will fucking one-shot you. And then he has Lorien to come to his aid to heal him. So, and Lorien also assists his brother, because Lorien and Lothric, they're brothers. So Lorien will assist Lothric with fighting you. So he'll throw his own attacks at you as well. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. When it comes to this boss. So I would say he's a 9 out of 10. He's one of the hardest bosses in the game. I fucking bitched and complained about him to the end of the earth. Yeah, he pissed me to fuck off. And he's one of those bosses where I think he has timeless difficulty. I think no matter how many times you fight him, you will die to him at least 5 to 6 to 8 times at least, you know? If your character isn't like crazy OP, of course. You know, like he's gonna give you a challenge. And anyone coming to Dark Souls 3 for the first time ever, beware. Be fucking aware. He's badass, one of my favorite bosses in the game. And yeah. You don't, yeah. I mean, that's it. Like, I could talk forever about how difficult he is. But yeah, he's difficult. Pontiff Sulyvahn. I would say Pontiff Sulyvahn is a 5 out of 10. Actually, maybe I would put him in the same bracket as Dragon Slayer Armor. Pontiff Sulyvahn, I don't find him that difficult. I think he becomes difficult when he clones himself and he essentially duplicates himself. So you have to fight his shadow self and then him, the actual boss. And when he does that move, when he duplicates himself, it's difficult, it's annoying, and it definitely poses a high challenge to you to player. So he's definitely difficult. He's very quick, very fast. His moves aren't that telegraphed. And he has a good variety of moves too. His boss arena is pretty badass. It's pretty big. I would say he's pretty memorable as well as a boss. But in terms of difficulty, I would give him a 6 out of 10. I think Dragon Slayer Armor is still more difficult, only because, like I said before, you fight Dragon Slayer Armor on a bridge, and you can fall off that bridge. So not only do you have to worry about the boss itself, but you have to worry about the arena. Like, you can die by the arena. You can die by falling off the arena. Whereas Pontiff Sulyvahn is just an open space. You know, you don't have to worry about falling off anything or dying by falling off anything. So yeah, I would say I don't think so for that reason, I don't think he's more difficult than Dragon Slayer Armor. But he poses a fairly difficult challenge, but I don't think he's that difficult. So yeah. Ancient Wyvern was difficult for me, very difficult for me, not because he's hard to defeat. The boss itself is not difficult. You can one-shot him and kill him. But it's the pathway getting to the boss that's difficult. So yeah. And he's not that memorable. I mean, when I think of Dark Souls 3 bosses, I don't think of him. He's essentially just gatekeeping. He's essentially just cock blocking you from progressing through the Archdragon Peak. That's essentially what he's doing. That's essentially his purpose. His purpose is being a cock blocker. His purpose as a boss is just being the biggest cock blocker in Archdragon Peak. Like, he does not want you to progress Archdragon Peak. That's really what he is. He's just a giant cock blocker. So, no, he's not that difficult. You can one-shot him. You can kill him. It's just the pathway to getting to him is difficult. I really don't have much to say about him. He looks like your ordinary, regular, degular, typical dragon, or wyvern, my bad. So, yeah, he's not that memorable. Cheese. Vort of the Boreal Valley, 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. I wouldn't say he's cheese, because he's pretty quick. But he's 2 out of 10 because his moves are very telegraphed. He's very predictable. And it's very easy to stay behind him and just hack away at his health gauge. He's really not that hard. He reminds me of, he looks like a bulldog wearing a set of armor. Like, that's the first thing that comes to my mind whenever I'm fighting this boss. A giant fucking bulldog in knight armor. You know what I mean? I think he's pretty cool. I think he's pretty unique. I like how he essentially utilizes ice as his main threat to defeat you. You know, so that's cool. But yeah, 2 out of 10. Don't really have much to say about this boss. His moves are very telegraphed. He's he's quick. He's slick. But you're not going to lose sleep over this boss. You know what I'm saying? He's almost at cheese level, just not there yet because he's pretty quick. And, you know, his moves can be lethal. But yeah. Half-Light Spear of the Church, I would say 2 out of 10. I really don't have too much to say about this boss. Really didn't find it that hard. And, yeah. Sister Frayed. Oh my god. This boss was a bitch. I'm not gonna lie. This boss was pretty fucking hard. I would say she is harder than Midir. Honestly. Honestly? No. 9 out of 10. I would put her in front of, I would put her in front of Lothric. Yeah, she's very hard. She has 3 stages in this boss. You have to fight 3 different alterations of her. The first stage is her alone. The second stage is, the first stage is her alone. The second stage, her father joins the battle. And then when you defeat the father, you have to fight her again, I think, right? Something like that. But yeah, if I recall correctly, she has like 3 different she has 3 stages in this boss battle. She's very hard. I found her to be very difficult. She's very fucking fast, very quick. She also has this move where she turns invisible, and sometimes that can be difficult to track where she is, and then she can grapple you and eat your health away. Her father also poses a challenge because now you have 2 bosses coming at you, you know? So yeah, this boss was very difficult. I found her to be very difficult. I think she's definitely 9 out of 10. I died a lot to her. A lot. And when she gets that dark energy power, oh my god, she is scary. She is scary. Like when you fight her in her final form, she's fucking scary. And her moveset, oh my god, it does some lethal damage to you. So yeah, I would give her a 9 out of 10. I don't think she's anything to mess with. And yeah, also, if I recall correctly, I think this is the only boss in Dark Souls 3 that has three different fucking stages. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, she's very difficult. She's a boss that you're gonna die to a lot. Because she has 3 different stages, and for each stage you have to memorize the moveset and build up your reaction time to each moveset for each stage of that boss battle. So this is like Midir. This is not a boss where you're gonna go in there and storm through her, you know? Now listen, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm sure there are some crazy builds out there that have one-shotted her and killed her quick and blah, 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 but I'm talking about your average Joe. I'm talking, you know, your average gamer, your average player. Yeah, she's going to be she's definitely a big threat, and you're going to die a lot to her. I can guarantee that. So, yeah. She is a awesome boss battle. I think she's very memorable. I like the way her and her dad are designed. And yeah, definitely one of the best bosses in the game, and she's a DLC boss. So yeah. So these 2 bosses are the Demon in Pain and the Demon Below. I'm just going to call them the Demons, or the Demon Prince, right? I think that's what they're called. So both of these guys are together. So I fucking hated fighting them. I thought they were pretty fucking difficult. I'm not even going to lie to you. I think that they are... Yeah, I'm going to put them with Aldrich. I found them to be very, very annoying. Yeah, I found them to be very annoying. I don't even know what to say. They are just two hulking beasts that are very quick and very fast. And if you kill one of them, the remaining one becomes OP as fuck. So this boss battle kind of reminds me of Ornstein and Smough, where if you eliminate one of them, the remaining one becomes stronger, if I recall correctly. So I think they're very annoying, very difficult. Don't have too much to say about them, other than that they're very difficult, and you're gonna die. You're gonna die a decent amount of times. So yeah, they're about a 7 out of 10. I would put them in the same bracket as Aldrich. They are annoyingly difficult for sure. Slave Knight Gale, right? We got Slave Knight Gale in the building. And Slave Knight Gale, I'm going to put you... I know a lot of people say he is like difficult as fuck. But I'm going to be honest, guys. I really did not struggle too much with him. His entire boss battle was honestly a big dodging game. He's very fucking fast, very quick, and very fluid. So yeah, this boss battle's difficulty is determined upon your reaction skill time, your reaction skills period, and your knowledge of his moveset. Because I found his moves to be pretty telegraphed. I really didn't find him to be that difficult. So yeah. I think I'm going to put him... Honestly, I'm going to put Slave Knight Gale right here. I'm going to put him behind Midir and the Dancer. I don't know. For me personally, I didn't find him to be... Like, he was difficult. Don't get it twisted. He was difficult. But I don't think he was difficult as the Dancer or Midir. I felt like Midir and the Dancer challenged me more. Slave Knight Gale, his boss battle is all about reaction time, and it's all about your knowledge of his moveset. I found myself to be dodging a lot during his boss battle. But not just dodging a lot, but dodging with extreme precision. Because he is quick as hell. He is a threat. And his second stage, he gets even more neurotic. He gets even more crazy and bizarre. So you really got to be on your toes when you're fighting this boss, because he's nothing to mess with. So I would give him an 8 out of 10. I know a lot of people talk like he's the hardest boss in the game, or he rivals the Nameless King, but I really don't think so. For me anyway, this is just my personal opinion. I don't think Slave Knight Gale is as hard as the Nameless King. I don't think he is as hard as Prince Lothric and Lorien. I don't know. I just didn't find him to be that tough. Also, his boss arena is so massive that it gives you so much room and space to get comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. His boss arena is so spacious. I didn't feel threatened. Like, I didn't feel like he was gonna corner me. I didn't feel like he was gonna... I don't know. Like, I think his boss arena is, like, more massive for whatever reason than Midir or... Well, Nameless King, I think his boss arena is bigger, actually, because you're literally fighting in the middle of the sky. But anyway, I digress. Long story short, Slave Knight Gale, for me personally, didn't find him to be that difficult, or at least as difficult as people are saying he is, you know? But in terms as a boss in general, I think he's very memorable. I don't think he's anywhere near as memorable as Midir or the Nameless King or, you know, those guys. But he was a very enjoyable boss. It was very Bloodborne-esque because it was very fast. It reminded me It reminded me of the final boss of Bloodborne. I forgot his name. Oh my god. Anyway, I don't want to harp on what his name is, but Slave Knight Gale's fight reminds me of him. And that fight, yeah, so as long as you dodge quick and you're precise with your dodging and you got a weapon that can do enough damage on him, I don't think he'll be that hard because his moves are also fairly telegraphed. So yeah. Finally, the last boss, Soul of Cinder. I would say Soul of Cinder is a 5 out of 10. I breezed through him pretty quickly in my most recent playthrough. He was a joke, actually. He was a joke. I didn't think that guy was tough. He was tough. He was more tough for me when I was younger, when I first played Dark Souls 3, when I first initially played Dark Souls 3. I remember I couldn't beat him without summoning someone. And yeah, no, I defeated him solo dolo, and I didn't find him to be that hard at all, you know? So, yeah, you know? And I'm just realizing no boss here is 10 out of 10. Yeah, no boss here is 10 out of 10 for me. I didn't find... I think... now, if we were talking Elden Ring, there would be some 10 out of 10 bosses on this list for sure. But since we're talking Dark Souls 3... yeah, I really don't feel like any of these bosses are 10 out of 10 material in terms of difficulty for me. But Soul of Cinder, 5 out of 10. Not that hard, not that difficult. If your character, you know, if your stats are well varied, got a good weapon, if you have good reaction time, yada, 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 he's not that difficult. And also, I felt like he was kind of lackluster as a final boss. I think they could have done a better job for a final boss than him. So, yeah. His armor set is badass, though. His armor set is cool. Anyway, guys, my name is Craig Da Vinci, once again, fine art major and gamer, and this is my official Dark Souls 3 boss tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave your opinions and comments below, and let me know what you guys would like me to rank next. Peace!